The river was wild that day, swollen from recent rains and churning with muddy currents. A small, spotted fawn, barely old enough to stand steady on her legs, had been swept into its grip. Her wide, terrified eyes searched desperately for the shore as she struggled against the rush, her tiny limbs flailing helplessly. From a nearby dirt road, Lucas stood beside his parked blue convertible. The distant cry had reached him like a ripple through the trees, thin and desperate. He squinted toward the riverbank, heart quickening. At his side, Bear, his chestnut-colored Labrador Retriever mix, stood frozen, ears perked, amber eyes locked on the movement downstream. A second later, the dog bolted. Without hesitation, Bear plunged into the raging river. The current slammed into him, but his body moved with strength and purpose, slicing through the water. Ahead, the fawn was barely visible, her body half submerged and spinning in the current. After lots of struggle, Bear reached her. With gentle precision, he clasped her small neck in his jaws, lifting her head above the surface. He turned, paddling fiercely toward the shore. As they neared, Lucas leaned in with both arms outstretched, pulling them in together. The fawn collapsed onto the muddy bank, soaked and trembling, but alive. Later, inside the back seat of the convertible, the fawn lay bundled in a warm flannel jacket. Lucas sat beside her, gently drying her with a towel, his expression filled with worry and tenderness. Bear, now in the front seat, turned often to check on her, eyes flicking between Lucas and the tiny creature, alert and protective. Outside, the forest calmed under the late afternoon light. That night, the cabin was a haven. Wrapped in towels, the fawn rested near the fireplace, the flickering glow painting soft shadows on the wooden walls. Lucas sat on the rug nearby, feeding her from a bottle, watching her slowly regain strength. Bear curled beside her, his body still damp, but his eyes watchful. There was peace in the room, a quiet understanding between man, dog, and fawn. In the days that followed, the fawn, now named Dottie, began to find her footing. One morning in the sunlight of a small backyard bordered by forest, she took her first hesitant steps on the grass. Lucas stood on the porch, arms crossed, a quiet smile on his face. Bear stayed close to her side, gently nudging her forward, a silent coach for her unsteady legs. Overhead, birds flew across the clear sky. Eventually, they returned to the river, not out of urgency, but for closure. The convertible came to a stop near the familiar bank. The river shimmered peacefully under the morning sun. And then from the edge of the trees, a grown doe appeared, silent and still. Her eyes met Dottie's. There was no need for words. Dottie ran toward her, hooves barely touching the earth. The field was quiet, the air golden with early light. Lucas and Bear stood in the distance, watching. As mother and child disappeared into the forest together, Lucas raised a hand in farewell.